wonder if you can tell us about how the will of God or the nature of God relates to the natural law.
Well, again, this is a matter that one should speak of in different ways if one's thinking about what we can know, what information we have just from what we think of as natural reason, reason responding to the data given by the world as we have it, including our own nature. And on the other hand, what's made available to us by a disclosure of the divine intentions, additional to the disclosure that is inferential in natural reason, but a direct disclosure through prophetic and ultimately the whole incarnational revelation. So in that perspective, in the Mosaic and then other prophetic and eventually Christian perspective, commandments and the will of God, the articulated will delivered and made clear to a community, to shape up a community and to shape up a successor community and so forth. All that gives a kind of stability to the idea of the divine will and so on, that in a sense is misleading if one then transposes it to the natural domain of natural reason and expects to find the same sort of sense of will and commandment and so on. In the domain of natural reason, which delivers a lot, we've got the intelligibility of the goods and the demand that one respond to that intelligibility integrally and not put one's thumb on the scale with one's emotions and sub-rational inclinations. And that gives us a sense of wrong and right, which then, as a matter of fact, overlaps with and has the same content as the divine will, as it is then explained in Sinai and in the New Testament and so forth. So I think of my and our natural law theory as very non-voluntarist, very intellectualist. I don't like the word rationalist, but intellectualist. It's all a matter of understanding human needs, human goods, and what's needed to respond to them well, where well means reasonably. Okay, so the whole thing goes through in terms of reasons, and those reasons can be compelling as reasons, and in a certain sense, that compulsion of reason is more intelligible to us than the will of a superior being. Why should that will be compelling for us? Well, we might be smashed if we don't comply with it, but is that all? No, and indeed that's not what the message really amounts to. And so the fact that we can understand the goodness of creation as a natural goodness, and the goodness of reasonable action as a natural goodness, and then by reflection think of, and it must be what was intended in this vastly intelligible act of creation, divine act, and therefore it must be divinely willed. That's a series of inferences which gets us through to the idea of divine will, but that is, pardon me, not adding a great deal of intelligibility. Yes, it's satisfying and completes an explanation, but it's not really the source of our sense of right and wrong.